Okay, so there's been some questions about this word problem and how to use your calculator. So let's go through it. We saw this problem that we had in class, right? From 1992 to 2003, we had a number of snowboarders that follows the graph of this function. Obviously, you're not going to do this by hand because it has some weird decimals there. This S value represents the number of snowboarders in millions. So for example, if S equals 1, on the graph it's going to show 1, but really it means 1 million. And T, that's going to represent the number of years since 1992. So I'm not going to put in an T value of 1992 because that would represent 1,992 years since 1992. If I wanted to show the year 1994, I would have my T value be 2 because it was number of years since 92. Okay? Now the question asks me, it needs to find the first year where the number of snowboarders was greater than 2 million. Well, first thing I need to do is actually enter it into my graphing calculator. So I already have that set up here in my graphing calculator. Now I need to really adjust my window size. Here I'm looking at my X values and my Y values. My X axis represents my T's. My time is in years. So I'm going to be starting with T being 0 years. Now, just to give myself some room, I'm going to put in a -1. That way I have a nice little edge and border so nothing's cut off. If I'm looking for 92 to 2003, that's 11 years. So I'm going to go from -1 to 12. Again, this graph cuts off at 11 years, but I'm going to graph up to 12 years just so I have some more room so I can see and I'm not cutting anything off. Now for my Y scale, my Y axis represents my S. That's my number of snowboarders. Okay. I can't have negative snowboarders. So really I'm going to start at 0. And again, I could have -1 so I don't cut anything off, but here it's not going to matter as much. My maximum, my total number of snowboarders, remember each one value on my y-axis represents a million. So here, this 10 value, that represents 10 million snowboarders. I'm not too concerned about that because I need to find where it hits 2 million. So I'm going to change this to 3 so I can really locate and zoom in. Now when I hit graph, I have this window size. And we can see that these are my years. So this y-axis represents x equals 0. For my graph, it represents t equals 0. So this is 1992, this is 93, 94, etc. My y-axis here represents snowboarders in millions. So this value here is 1 million, and this value here is 2 million. So I have to find out where this graph hits 2 million. And it looks to be about 10, but I have to know for sure. So what I do is, back in my graph, my y equals, I put in y equals 2. And what this does is it gives me a horizontal line at y equals 2. Now I have to figure out where these two lines meet. I need to find out where the curve of this function meets my line for y equals 2. That's going to show me the number of years it's going to take from 1992 to reach 2 million. In order to do that, I go to my calculate menu. My calculate menu is second trace, that blue calc on your text, and it brings up this menu. Some of these we've seen before, such as minimum, maximum, 0. I want to find intersect. That's going to show me the intersection of a line. So I select that intersect, and it asks me for the first curve. The first curve is really on the one line. You're going to choose a point to the left of the intersection. So here's my intersection. So scrolling left and right is going to move this cursor along this curve. And I just need to select it in some place to the left of this intersection. So here you can see I went too far. So now I move my cursor here, and it's definitely to the left of the intersection. So I hit enter. Once it does that, my cursor switches to my second line, this y equals 2. Now I need to move this cursor to be to the right of where I see this intersection. Here it is, to the right. So I hit enter again. I don't need to know the guess, so I hit enter. And here we go. It shows me 10.047752. That means it's been 10.047752 years since 1992. So in the 10th year, my number of snowboarders surpasses 2 million. So 10 years from 1992 brings me to 2002. That's it. That's how you solve it. It's not 2003 because in 2003 we're going to start off well above we're going to start well above 2 million snowboarders. The question asks, find the first year that the number of snowboarders was greater than 2 million. And you can see, while 2002 didn't start off with 2 million snowboarders, most of the year had 2 million snowboarders, and it was the first year with 2 million. So that's how we get the first answer for 2002. Any questions? Be sure to send me an email, and make sure to be checking the Moodle for more updates.